It could all leave tomorrow. You have to know that shit, and you have to be able to be okay. You have to know how to live your life. And money does not make me happy. Life makes me happy. My family makes me happy. I make me happy.
We are with Bea Dixon, the co-CEO and founder of Honey Pot.
The process to getting to growth, taking the time to understand your customer, to understand your products, to understand operations, all these things is very important.
What is it like when you put it out there, you said, I'm selling this business, and then you did?
I knew that once we took venture capital money, once we took private equity money, that meant that we were selling it.
Has your perspective changed?
I knew that the cure to getting into growing your business was definitely not just throwing it on a shelf, right? That's actually the easy part. The hard part is staying there. Honey Pot wasn't making any money then. It was a dream. It was something that worked for me. And I was just doing a version of a hood clinical trial. People were telling me things that were happening with their sex life. I mean, all kinds of things. It was affecting so many other parts of their lives.
I'm Rebecca Minkoff, and this is Superwomen. Each week, inspiring women are interviewed to uncover the unexpected journeys, the challenges, and the unwavering spirit that makes them powerful. Get ready to be motivated by stories of resilience and discover the keys to unlocking your own potential. So this is not our first rodeo, Miss Dixon.
No.
I think we've talked a lot.
We have.
I think you've been on the podcast years ago.
Years and years.
Yes, back when there was no such thing as video for a podcast.
Exactly.
And it was great.
Yeah, it was.
You have to get hair and makeup.
You made that sound like it was like in 1932 or something.
Likely it was. You said something in that interview that we did that stuck with me because I think we were talking about legacy brands. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh no, I am building this to sell it. Mm-hmm. Unapologetically.
Yes.
And that was refreshing to me.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of before the like, I'm just going to build, grow, sell kind of trend.
Exactly.
And now you're on the other side, or you're on partial of the side of selling. So we're going to obviously talk about Honey Pot.
Of course.
And the magical woman that visited you.
Yes, my granny.
But maybe we just dive into like, what is it like when you put it out there, you said, I'm selling this business, and then you did. And I'd love for you to take me through that emotional and physical journey.
Well, first of all, emotionally, going through a process is insane. It wrecks your nervous system. There is tons of selling yourself constantly. It's a bit of an outer body experience. You're constantly on. Even when you're trying to rest, it's hard to rest because, you're in it every single day, constantly, right? It's literally like a nonstop thing that takes over your life for 6-8 months, Normally, I don't begin with words that sound as negative as these sound, but not all of this is negative.
Right.
It's just, if you want the honest answer, that's the honest one.
Yeah.
Right? It is so wild that I don't even know that I've even processed that it happened. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
The time and the energy that it takes to do something like that is insane. And the image that I'm seeing in my mind is like an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild. And it's wild even if you have all your paperwork is perfect and your data room, it's almost...
And you're profitable,
right.
and you're like the illest company out, and and.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it still is like, it's more of when you sell, it's more of a marriage than a marriage will ever be.
It is.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's all those things. And then it's incredible because if it happens, which is a big if.
Yep.
Because you can be the best company, you can be the most profitable, which, by the way, don't try to over profit yourself, because if you do, they're going to read right through that shit and be like, why are you so profitable? Why didn't you invest that? That was something that we didn't necessarily think was going to happen. And then it did.
Wow.
Right. So that can actually bite you. Right. And so it's beautiful because you get to experience part of the reason, because everything isn't about money.
Correct.
And then it is. right? We get into business to make money, to feed our families, to feed ourselves, hopefully to attain wealth. To me, that's what the goal is. I can't speak for anybody else, but that's my goal.
Yep.
And I was able to do that. And I'm grateful.
And let's brag about the number. Can we brag about the number?
Yeah,
At least what I read, 350 million.
No, it's 380 million.
380 million.
Yep.
So some .com site needs to correct their facts.
Yeah, that's okay. 30, 40.
And you turned down a higher offer.
We did.
Because
we
you
turned
felt
down
like
a couple.
you'd be selling your soul.
Yes, I did.
What was in that was going to sell your soul?
I think that they probably would have not asked us to be the operators, which in my opinion, when you are doing a private equity deal or something like that, prior to moving into like a strategic, which is when you're like moving into a new house, this is where you're probably going to this is your house that you're going to grow old in.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But prior to that, to me, it's always a little suspect if whomever is doing the acquiring is coming in and wanting to change the people that are the operating team
Ripping out the guts.
that has gotten it from where it is to there, right? I mean, anything that you take from zero to being a 9-figure business is insane, right? Like that is the operating team that should be the operating team until said company finds its home.
Yeah.
And so I think that they would have wanted something different than that, and that didn't feel right to me in my guts. And it just wasn't the time for this team to not be here. And there was other things, too, that I probably wouldn't say out loud because it's nobody's business but me and them that were there when the thing happened. There were just things that I didn't feel comfortable with.
Right.
And when my intuition speaks, I try and listen.
Yep. How have you honed your intuition? Like, tell me where that started from, because you started this company on intuition and a visitor.
Yes, my grandmother came. My mommy always taught me to really respect my intuitive gifts because I come from a family of intuitive women.
Yeah.
Including her, And so it was never really a subject that was taboo. You know what I mean? I have a book coming that's going to be coming out in January.
What's the name of it?
It's called The Soul Instinct.
I love that.
And in the book, there's a moment where we're talking about the moment where I received my gifts. It was a big health moment. I actually had a stroke. I had seizures. It was wild. Nobody could explain it.
You had that from the bacterial vaginosis?
No.
Oh, this is prior.
No, this is prior. Okay. This is like back when my intuitive gifts came to be.
Okay.
Right? That happened
way later.
Way later. But I believe that that's when they came, because after that is when things really, I would know things or see things or hear things, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when you fast forward later in my life to when my grandmother came to me after going through kind of a spiritual awakening, because I had just kind of initiated into a spirituality that still is to this day, Santeria Lukumi, which very much is centered around your ancestors and your guides and the gods of the ocean, the wind, the river, no different than Native culture or African culture or anything like that.
Yeah.
Being that I had that experience when I was young, and then I had this beautiful spiritual experience, my spirit was kind of super open for my grandmother to be able to come in.
Right.
And be able to have a journey and an experience like that, where I was essentially struggling to find results, right? Because I had bacterial vaginosis for almost a year, like you were just saying. And I tried everything that you can imagine. I lived on antibiotics. I lived on Google, which is not, I've said this a million times, but Google is not where you need to be when your coochie's broken. It's not, that is not the place. You know what I mean? Google or ChatGPT or any of those, right?
I know it's weird to say I thought of you, but I had to do 2 rounds of antibiotics this summer. Then I felt the yeast infection coming, and I was like, oh Beatrice, what do I take?
You should have called me, sister. I have to make sure.
Monistat, crappy ass shit.
I mean, listen, though, in a crunch, man.
Ooh,
I feel like everybody should have one of those in a pack of boric acid in your medicine cabinet. Don't be ashamed.
No,
no,
it's a must-have.
It's a must-have because you don't know when it's going to happen.
Right.
And you don't have time to, I believe in nature and in plants and all that stuff, but I also believe get to it, take the medicine, and
when
then
your
do all the
broken, sometimes you just gotta
gotta do
get
what
it.
you got to do. So finally one morning, me and my grandmother, what felt like a dream, but it couldn't have been a dream because it was just too real. She had come and she had told me that she had been walking with me and seeing me struggle, and she knew what to do. And she handed me a piece of paper, and it literally had a list of ingredients. And she just told me in the dream, like, I need you to memorize this. And so I just kept saying it over and over again. And she'd be like, again. And then finally she told me to wake up. And when I woke up, I literally woke up saying apple cider vinegar, lavender, rose, garlic. You know, I woke up saying these ingredients.
Yeah.
I've been taught my whole life to respect my intuitive gifts. And I think that examples throughout my entire life have showed me that it's worth trusting them.
Yeah.
My intuition really has not led me down the wrong path.
Yeah. I think it leads you down the wrong path when you don't listen to it.
I agree with you.
I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So when you got this recipe together, I read that you were working at Whole Foods.
Yep.
And as soon as someone came into the bacterial vaginosis aisle, you would...
any
broken vagina.
Any broken vagina issues, I was there, girl.
And you would walk them out to the parking lot and share your recipe.
Yeah, but I would tell them, I'm going to help you
Right.
with your groceries to the car.
Right. Yes.
And then when I got out there, you know, because I didn't want to be reckless now. Like, I can't be at my job telling them about my other job.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, you know, Honey Pot wasn't making any money then. It was a dream. It was it was something that worked for me. And I was just doing a version of a hood clinical trial.
Right.
You know, because I had to see if what I made for me worked for other people.
Yeah.
You have to be responsible when you're making products for humans to use, right? And so, yeah.
So there's a trend on Instagram that's like unhinged things I did when I started. I think Sarah Blakely started it. I did it. And people love these stories.
Yeah.
I would equate you going out to the parking lot as unhinged.
Me too.
Which I love. But it's those moments that you that's what seals it. That's what turns it around, or that's what sets you apart.
It is.
So how was your hood trial? Like, did some women say, no, thank you? Or were most women like, I'll try anything at this point?
Every now and again, it was just like, you know, that's really cool, but I'm good. You know? But like most of the people were like, you know what? Nothing else is working.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just about BV. It was all kinds of things. It was people that were getting reoccurring UTIs. It was people who just had really bad sensitivity issues. It was people who had reoccurring yeast infections, right?
Yeah.
Like reoccurring vaginal anything is super uncomfortable, but most of the people were willing to do it, right? And most of those people stuck with us because we gave it to them for free.
Right.
And I was like, all I need from you is like a journal. I just need to know like what happened. Was it good? When was the time that it wasn't good? There were people that were using it on their children.
Yeah.
There were people who told me that they were able to wear silk panties again. I mean, that's wild. I mean, that sounds hot, but you know what, babe? It's your coochie, so do what you want. You know what I mean? But I just loved it. It was dope because there were people, and the dopest thing was that people felt so comfortable.
Yeah.
To say, wow, I'm able to do X, Y, and Z, or, you know, people were telling me things that were happening with their sex life. I mean, all kinds of things, you know, the freedom that you get when that part of your body that brings so many things. It can bring pleasure. It can bring you just feeling really great about yourself. It can just bring so many different types of emotions, so many different types of things. And so many people were it was affecting so many other parts of their lives.
Yep.
So it was beautiful.
So you knew you had a product that was working.
Yes.
Now we have to go to the okay, now I want to launch a business. I got to leave my job or raise enough money. How did you approach that? And did you even know what to do? So
it was me and my brother, Cy. And he was my road dog from the start. You know, he was doing his own thing. I was still working a full-time job, you know. We didn't really launch anything until maybe a year after that.
Okay.
Maybe almost a couple years. That started in 2012. We didn't really launch until 2014. And we definitely didn't raise money when we launched. We just bought ingredients, bottles, caps, labels, all the things, and just made it ourselves. And we took it to a hair show, the Bronner Brothers hair show in Atlanta. And I basically told him, like, if it didn't work, then I would never ask him about it again.
Yep.
But I was like, but if it does, then I think this is something that we should do, you know? And he was like, okay, cool. You know, I mean, it wasn't like, okay, cool, but it was just like, okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
We iterated from there. We like went to the Bronner Brothers show. That really worked. We used hair shows as a way for us to get out. Because at every hair show, they're selling you the next hair show, right? And that was a really easy way to get in front of thousands of people in a matter of a few days.
Right.
You know? So that gave us the ability to grow our, you know, our email lists, grow our social media organically. You know, it was just...
And you probably stood out because everyone's there for hair. And you're like, but broken coochie, I'm your girl.
I'm your girl. But the beautiful thing is it wasn't just about broken coochie, right? It was really more about just proactive wellness for your vagina and your vulva, right? Because it wasn't like it was an internal product. It was a wash that you used every day. And that's all that we sold then.
Okay.
We didn't sell anything else then. And it was wild because people would like come one day, then they'd come back the next day with their friends. There were husbands coming for their wife. I mean, it was crazy.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Wow.
And so we used events like that. Any event that we could use, we used it. If it was a trunk show, if it was a women's convention, if it was an expo, if it didn't matter what it was. We were just hungry and we used every ounce of guerrilla marketing and traction that we could, you know?
And by that time, had you quit?
No.
Okay, so you're still working a full-time job doing all the shows.
Yes. So by this time, I'm not working at Whole Foods anymore. I'm actually a broker now.
Okay.
So now I'm like a natural food broker, and now Whole Foods is my customer.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
And like co-ops and you know what I mean? And natural markets and things like that.
Yep.
And so by this time, I'm getting it into stores, obviously, because anytime I go to sell other products, I literally walk out of the store and then walk back in and sell them honey pot.
Right.
Which was also another reckless thing. But like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to not do that. That's
and
stupid.
It's the perfect venue for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then 2016 came, and that is when Target came.
Okay.
And then by 2017, we worked on that for a year, as you know, because that's just how long it takes.
Yep.
By 2017, we were in Target.
So let's talk about Target, because you meet all these people that think the cure to their business is a big box retailer. In my industry, it's like, if I could just get into a department store that will never pay me. So did you know going into Target, like, that's not like, oh, now I'm good. It's like, I have to stay on the shelf, and this is what I have to do to stay on the shelf, and the inventory and the financing. Like, it's a big operation.
So you know what, sister? You know what's really dope that I'm really grateful for? Everything that I've ever done probably prepared me for that moment. Because I was a food broker, I knew that the cure to getting into to growing your business was definitely not just throwing it on a shelf, right? Yeah. That's actually the easy part, is getting on the shelf.
Right.
You know, the hard part is staying there. But because I had that background, I already knew that, you know. But I also knew that getting into Target meant that if we could make that be successful, because we definitely weren't ready for it. But obviously we were, you know, because the creator doesn't put anything in front of you that you're not ready for, right? But if you looked at our business face value, we were not ready for that shit.
You're still in your apartment,
right.
bottling.
Thugging it out, you know? But at the end of the day, I knew that it was a risk, but I knew that we were ready. Me and Sai went out, we raised money. We didn't raise a ton. $700,000 is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
For what we do.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
But it gave us the ability to get our branding, and it made sure that we had products.
Right.
Right. Now, after that, it was like a hope and a prayer.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We were also a tiny skeleton team. I was operations. I was part of marketing. Everybody had like 6 jobs. There was maybe like 4 of us, 5 of us. You know what I mean? It was wild.
I do.
You know, but it was a beautiful time.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you sometimes look back at those moments? Like I recently did an inventory where I kind of looked back at like the tactile times, like the overly tactile parts of the entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get more employees or further along, you're like, I don't do that anymore. I'm back to now doing a lot of the tactile shit myself.
Which is fun.
And I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Even though I really wish someone would help me sometimes.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
do you ever like look back at that moment, like when Target was about to hit and be like, damn, we were scrappy.
Yeah.
With 6 of us.
Yeah. I look back on it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I miss those times.
I know. Some of those moments are the greatest moments of an entrepreneur. Like that's what you should be living for.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, a paycheck is great. Don't get me wrong. Or a payday.
A payday is great. Wealth is great. All those things are great. But it's going to be real hard to get to those things if you don't have the part that you just talked about.
Yeah.
That tactile stuff.
Yeah.
Because I also think the tactile helps you have a respect.
Yeah.
For those future humans that you're going to hire.
Yeah.
Because you've done all their jobs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, me personally, I don't look at anybody that works here as though they work for me.
Right.
They work with me, you know? And I'm also aware that without them, we wouldn't be where we are.
Right.
You know? And so those were the days, man. They were beautiful.
Yeah. I love those days.
Yeah.
I would love to transition into now, like, what has changed for you post-sale? Has your role changed? Has your perspective changed? Everything is like status quo.
Role hasn't changed.
Okay.
Perspective hasn't changed. Still flowing, still moving, still working. We didn't stop.
Right.
I just cashed out 50% of my equity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but it doesn't stop. You got to just keep, got to keep moving. You got to keep grinding because we got to just do it again.
Right.
You know?
Because your eventual plan will be the forever home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no choice at this point.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you stay motivated?
I love my work. I love Honey Pot. I love what we do. I love the humans we serve. I love the people that I work with.
Is your brother still working with you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did he leave at the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I stay motivated with that, but there are moments where I'm tired.
Yeah.
Anything you've been doing for 10 plus years, there's burnout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I'd be lying to you if I was like, oh, I'm just jazzed and turned up. Like that's, I am, and
yeah,
I'm tired.
But that's the part like that people don't talk about enough, I don't think, is like that's normal and it's going to happen. It's going to be a cycle.
Yeah.
You'll find your purpose again or what's slogging you down and you'll get it up and then you'll go get exhausted again.
Exactly. Because it's a constant grind. I mean, I have a really incredible team.
Yeah.
Our leadership team is killing it. Our president and honestly, my co-CEO, Ali, is incredible. We just have such an amazing, incredible executive leadership team. And then just the whole team, period. There's an ease to our work. It's hard, though. I'm not going to say it's not hard.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding. And it's always nice when you get to work with people who care about it the same way that you do. They're really invested. They're really tapped in. And that, I think, makes all the difference.
A huge difference.
So even when I am in a moment like I'm in right now, where I am a little tired and, I have a little bit of a decision fatigue, and it's beautiful because I know that I have people that have my back.
Right. You can be like, I'm tired. I don't want to make a decision.
Exactly.
That's what I say to my husband sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you just
whatever's
you decide. For dinner, whatever you want to do this weekend, like mama's tapping out.
Whatever you decide, But no, it's beautiful. But it is hard because your brain has been doing the same thing for many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I mean, but I'm going to be honest with you and just say it. You know?
No, I'm glad. That's what this podcast is for, is the honesty. Not the like, everything's great all the fucking time.
No.
Because it's sure not.
No, it's not.
So I have a series of questions I'm going to ask you that I'm asking all my guests. But before we do that, just a brief illustration of most women are just going to Target and picking up a box.
Yep.
And that box is filled with things that contain chemicals, chlorine, bleach. Like, I never thought about it until you came along.
Thank you.
And I was like, oh, shit, I'm putting that stuff up my vagina?
Isn't that crazy?
It's so fucked up.
It is. It's actually kind of wild.
It's actually wild. Like, we're already mistreated in birth a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But at least you'd think, okay, this thing is under my control. It's what I decide to put up there or not.
Yeah.
And then it's like the most toxic sponge you could just inject into yourself.
Exactly. And it's like we think about it with food. We think, you know, we're starting to think we're getting more into it with skincare.
Correct.
And now vaginal wellness, you know, like last year, an article came out about metals, heavy metals in, you read that, right?
No, but tell me more.
Well, an article came out talking about a lot of the heavy metals and different chemicals that are found in tampons.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, it is great, right? To me, it's not great that they're there.
Right.
But it's great that this is public information.
Yes.
Right? They didn't dig deep the way that they probably should have because metals are just going to show up in soil anyway, right? So there's trace amounts of metals in the vegetables and fruits and water and all kinds of things that we take in every single day. So it just kind of made a blanket statement, kind of, which made it seem like all tampons and all pads were bad.
Yeah.
You know, but what was beautiful about it was that it opened people's eyes and made them aware of why organic cotton, whether it's tampons, whether it's a pad that has an organic cotton top sheet, whether it's a cup or whatever, it made people aware of the thing. Yeah. And I think that it was like when natural foods was on fire, right? And one year it was popcorn, the next year it was kale, you know, like it was, we all remember that, right? Yeah. And so I think that this was like the kind of that moment for organic menstrual wellness, you know? And so it is tough because a lot of the conventional players do make period care products that are laden with certain types of chemicals.
Right.
And then there's companies like mine that are in the Better For You business that are focused on making beautiful organic cotton products that aren't laden with all those chemicals, you know?
Okay. What is a decision that almost ended your business, if there was one, but actually that thing paved the way to a future?
Well, we were getting into Target and Simon and I were raising money, and literally going into Target could have ended our business.
Yeah.
It was by the skin of our teeth. I remember there was an invoice that we had to pay to our contract manufacturer that was making our washes. And we just kept pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. And I think this invoice was like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was crazy. Yeah. Right? I mean, now we look back on that and it's like laughable, but it's still, back then we had like wooden nickels to rub together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we had an investor that literally we were just waiting to sign the papers and they just fell through. Ugh. And then we had somebody as a backup, but it was a terrible, terrible, terrible investment deal. And we had to take that deal. Right. Part of it was paying the contract manufacturer that we had no money for. And the other part was taking a really bad investment that we had to agree to pay back within like a time frame that just did not seem like it was even able to happen. It worked out, like God came through and we were able to pay it. And we got through that with the skin of our teeth. But yeah, it could have ended us.
Oh, those are the worst moments. That's when the gray hair starts for me.
But also the best.
Yeah.
Because those are the moments where you have to have such a religious belief in yourself. Yeah. And in what you're doing and in your business I feel like I was calling on all the gods, all the ancestors, all the guides, all the everyone, like we have got to make this work. And it worked. Wow. You know? Yeah. I love shit like that because, you know, when you put it at the forefront of your mind and you just know that like, listen, a miracle has to happen. Yeah. Sometimes a miracle doesn't happen. I'm very grateful that in the times that they needed to happen for us, they happened. Yeah. Yeah.
In my spiritual studies, happiness is not something that happens. It's something that you overcome something you didn't think you could overcome.
Exactly.
And it's like that moment when you're like, is it going to happen? Is it not? And then it happens, and you'll always find happiness at that moment when you conquered it.
Exactly. That's real.
So I love that moment.
Yeah.
Even though it was probably scary.
Whew.
All right, next and last one. Actually, I have 2 more questions. If you lost everything tomorrow, what's the first thing you do to rebuild? Or would you rebuild? Would you do something different?
I would do something different.
Do you know what that is?
I'd probably go into the bottled water business.
Okay. What are we putting in bottled water? Can you share?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll come back.
Okay. I want Blackwater to come back. I'm just saying.
Me too.
Where did it go?
I mean, maybe you'll have one at some point. Because I'm right there with you.
Okay, because I'm not going to dissolve my Chalajit. You know, I don't have time for that. Just give me the bottled water.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so I was with a friend 2 weeks before. She whispered to me, she's like, I just want to tell you, we're about to get acquired. It's fuck you money. Mm-hmm. It's the kind of money that you look at your husband for her and be like, this will not change us.
Yeah.
So when you knew you were going to sell, like, what did you put in place for yourself to go, this is huge and incredible, but like, how do I not change? Or how do I stay motivated? Or did you let yourself go, okay, now I'm going to buy the thing or whatever? Like, I set benchmarks for myself. When I hit this in revenue, I'm going to buy a Rolex. I never do it, but I say those things as like fun.
So I did do it. I did do a few things. So first of all, years ago, I think it might have been around the time that we got a big investment from VMG, which was our private equity fund or firm that came in before Compass. That they've since been bought out, but I remember kind of maybe just in that time frame, I said to myself, I actually need to not make my whole life about Honey Pot. I really need to like have a life, because at some point she's going to go and do her thing, right? And then I don't want to be sitting here crying because I've just given her my whole everything. Honey Pot is a girl to me.
Yeah.
And so in order to protect myself, I really had to get real with myself that Honey Pot is a business. I believe that it's a gift to humanity, not in a way of like, this is God's gift to not like that, but just, I believe that what we do is important to this planet, and I believe that it makes it better.
Yeah.
But while it's all those things, it doesn't all belong to me. Yeah. And so I knew that I needed to separate myself a little bit, because so much of my relationship with this business is personal.
Yeah. Your identity was tied up in it.
My identity. And probably still some of it is.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't. But it's not so much that I'm not a realist about what is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I knew that once we took venture capital money, once we took private equity money, that meant that we were selling it.
Right.
Right? That's just what that shit meant. Or we were going to IPO it, but I have no interest in running in being an IPO founder. I have no thank you.
Yeah.
Kudos to Trina and all our girls that did it, right? Because we both have some homegirls that are doing it and they're killing it, but we also know how hard that shit is for them.
Hard.
It's hard.
You got a microscope.
Hard.
Yeah.
And so shout out to all of them. I think because I did that and because I knew that why I was doing this work was for me to be able to obviously have the ability to do the work, but also for me to be able to create a way for my family to have wealth.
Yeah.
Right? In order for you to do that, you have to be okay with the shit that has to happen in order for you to acquire that wealth.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I've allowed myself to do that. One of the things that I said is I wanted a home in another country that I absolutely love and adore. And that was going to be one of my things that I did for myself.
Yeah.
Right? And I did it.
Yeah.
I wanted a home. I have a home in the city. I wanted a home in the country, in the States. And I did that.
Yeah.
But those are assets that I
bought
for me and for my family. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
my mom always taught me, if you're going to work really hard, you have to make sure that you do things for yourself, right? So that you can kind of tell yourself that this is why all the blood, sweat, all the tears. Because, what's the point of it if you're not going to enjoy it?
100%.
That shit is stupid.
People just are punishing themselves and then for nothing.
No, fuck that.
And or on the flip side, they think money's, some vast sum at the end of the rainbow is all that it's for. And if that doesn't happen, then you did just waste all this time being miserable thinking that was going to be the only thing.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you should enjoy your money.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Issey Miyake today and I got myself a really pretty
I love that
sweater dress that has it's dope,
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean that I don't think about it, because I haven't always been in the place where I can just go and get an expensive dress. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Of course I think about it. It was just a couple years ago where I was in the damn grocery store line like, shit, let me just let me go in here and transfer some money. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And I still do that.
Yeah.
I still do that, sister. I almost forget about what I have.
Yeah.
So I can live off of what I make.
Yeah.
Because it could all leave tomorrow.
Right.
And you have to know that shit, and you have to be able to be okay. You have to know how to live your life. And money does not make me happy. Life makes me happy. My family makes me happy. I make me happy.
Yeah.
But it is fun to have.
Yeah. You worked your ass off for it.
I worked and am working my ass off for it.
Yes.
Yep.
Where can everyone pre-order the book?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that because I literally am just doing my drop.
Okay.
Right?
I'm assuming people can pre-order it on Amazon.
They'd be able to order. Oh, yes. Yes, sister. Okay. On Amazon, on Apple, any place that you can buy a
Any
book.
place you can buy a book.
Any place you
Say
can buy a
the name again.
book. It's called The Soul Instinct.
I love
yes.
And what else?
I'm getting used to being an author, by the way. Having a book
Talk
that's
about pain. You're about to experience some deep fucking pain. Let me warn you.
Oh, my God. And
we'll talk about it after.
And this is my self-help book to myself.
Yeah.
Which is wild. It's I'm not a self-help writer. If it helps you, great.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. So I'm just now learning. So sorry that I didn't have the answer right away.
Okay.
But thank you for your help.
Get ready for war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
God.
it's a good war.
Yeah.
It was another area where I had to learn a whole industry and figure it out.
Yep.
And then you come out the other side, you're like, fuck, that was really hard. But
I did it.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming back on.
No, thank you for having me.
And I'm just so happy that when we spoke in the ancient years, the primitive times, you had this, you were like, I'm manifesting, and you fucking manifested.
Yeah.
And that's
Here we are.
No joke.
Thank you, babe.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, take a second to rate and review the show wherever you're tuning in. It really helps others find the podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Rebecca Minkoff and at RM Superwomen, or for a slice into my personal life at Becky Minkoff. And don't forget to check out my book, Fearless, The New Rules for Unlocking Creativity, Courage, and Success. See you next week.